Hello everyone, and welcome to the ninth lesson. Split the layers in this way. Today we'll learn a so-called fake frame by frame. That's why I want to show you an interesting simulation. To ensure that you understand the behavior of the object, a leaf in our case, I draw such a line and set the points proportionally. Approximately 6-7 points. Let's decrease the width. I set an anchor point at the top. Animate the rotation from -45 to 45 within 10 frames. And press P on the keyboard. Open the position in the top point. Let's find the floor and enable the guides, and on the 5th frame, move the leg upwards and downwards again. Now the movement of the leg is like this. But since the leaf is elastic, add path delay. In length delay, I set 1. As you see, there is a sort of simulation. Let's customize it. Increase rotation delay multiply. Approximately like this. Now we have recreated a bend from the reference. In elastic, set decay to 40, so it doesn't decay so rapidly. And as you can see, we achieve such a behavior of the leg on movement if it's elastic. So let's get back to the leaf. I have already extracted a line from there. We'll adjust it. We don't need so many points. I preserve only 3 points. One in the middle. Holding Alt pressed, click for tangents to appear. If while moving you press Alt again, you will get a proportional displacement. So it's the first frame. In the upper point, we get such a bend. Semicircle. So the leg is getting ready for moving. Next, the leg starts moving and we get a bend to the opposite side. Don't move the bottom point too far away. Keep it close to the initial position. Here we can repeat the beginning. So I like this position as well as the last one. We can also apply flip keyframes. I paste these two keys and apply time reverse keyframes. Now I select the first position, place it here and repeat the same here. So we have achieved an interesting movement of the leg, and as you see, we made it frame by frame. Let's customize. I want to make an imitation of a slap. In the end, if you see any unevenness, we can adjust it. The most important is that we have already created a reference. As you can remember, we usually use 10 frames for the legs step. Now we have used 20 frames. And I think that we can reduce the animation to 10 frames. Let's select all frames, go to the first one, keep Alt pressed and move it by 10. So we get such a step. Again, we can adjust the irregularities, if any emerge. Let's create a guide to see where the floor is. I think that we can now move the leg to its initial position. To do this, copy the first frame and set it to the 20th. In this way, the leg will return to its initial position and will achieve the full step imitation. Now let's go into the contents of the leg. I duplicate the stroke. In the stroke, I make the customization. Let's have a look at the reference. Set the same color. Hide it. Set these settings for stroke width and in the taper. As you can see, there can be some irregularities. Set 100, 100. 25, 25, and you can notice some twitching. That's why we can reduce it even more to 15. To avoid any noticeable twitching. Also, if you notice any issues, they may appear due to tangents. So you can fix them manually. We have achieved an excellent step, and as you can see, we didn't spend too much time on it. Less than 5 minutes. It's great. Now let's make a null object on the leaf. But don't forget to apply reset shape to ensure that everything functions correctly. Select the leaf and set it to 99. We'll link the foot to this null object. It will be attached to the leaf. Let's draw one more stroke. It will repeat the movements of the leaf. Try to make a curve in the same vector as the leaf is. I mean that it should be the continuation of the bend. Draw an arch like this, increase the width, and now we can adjust it to match the leaf. Somewhere here, and now, Let's create a mask to hide the unnecessary part. To do this, I use the ellipse tool. Go to Shape, set the fill to red, remove the stroke, and draw such a semicircle. Move it somewhere here so that we get a perfect rounding without cutting the rounding on the leg. Now apply Track Matte. If you are using the previous version of After Effects, select Inverted Track Matte. And now link Shape Layer 1 to the null object. Now if you play the animation, the foot walks with the leaf. Now we need to animate the foot to be turned to the opposite side. To do this, go to Shape Layer 1, I turn off the mask for now, and set the keys and turn it to the opposite side. Don't forget to set the keys before that. Also, set the keys on the mask. And we get such a result. Now we need to adjust the mask in the middle point. Here on the very leg, move it to the beginning, like this. And now check whether there are any flaws. They may be caused by the tangents on the leaf. So you can adjust them manually. Now, as you can see, we need to make the final move of the leg to the left. Here, we also manually adjust the animation. Copy the first frame and paste it to the last one. Repeat the same with the mask and adjust it here too if you don't like the result. In the middle point, I slightly elevate the foot, and I also think that it's worth rounding with a mask. I see that here there are many flaws which we'll adjust. Like this. Excellent. I see that here we can move the mask down too. Great. So the rigging of the leg is almost ready. Now let's create null objects on the leaf. Remove the unnecessary ones. We don't need the bottom null objects. We only need the upper ones. We'll link the upper null objects to the body, which will move up and down. So the leaf will move up and down too. At the same time, the animation will be played. It's great. So let's move the layers so that they are closely situated and we don't get confused. Now, a really important point to note. You can't make loop out on the very leaf with animation of path. Make loop out only on the foot. On the very leg called leg 1, there's an expression, and if you open it, you'll see that it's related to the null object. Now, to illustrate it, I have applied loop out, and you see that the null object doesn't function anymore. That's why I manually copy all of the frames and simply duplicate. Let's make even more. Copy and paste again. Now select all keys and return everything. Excellent. Everything functions really well. Now we can duplicate the leg and we can expect some surprises with that. So let's set the colors for the layer so that it's easier to navigate and we don't get lost in the composition. So hide the previous leg and see what happened. Go to leg 2 and holding Alt pressed, delete the expressions. Now everything's fine. And now we need to create null objects anew. Delete everything that we don't need, all of the leftovers after the previous manipulations. Click on the leg and create the null objects anew. Set 99. Link foot 2 to the new null object. Excellent, everything functions well. And now we create one more null object. Remove the unnecessary things and preserve only the top one. Excellent. The second leg is ready and we can proceed with the third one. I see that the color's changed. I set it back to green. We can duplicate. Set such a color. And as we did before, delete the expressions. Delete all the unnecessary null objects. Delete the unnecessary effects and create it anew. 99. Link. And the controller again. Now we can move each leg along the timeline. Let's set the colors back. And now we can make solo for all legs. Now they are moving simultaneously, and I set the markers. Control asterisk or Control 8 to create the markers. Move along the timeline like this. By the way, I see that we didn't relink track mat. So as you see, the mask doesn't apply. That's why make sure that foot 3 is related to mask 3 while foot 2 is related to mask 2. Now everything works correctly. And my congratulations to you. The leaves started walking. It's awesome. Now let's draw the back legs. To do this, I use pen tool. Preserve only the stroke. Approximately like this. And apply round cap. Move it somewhere here so that the back leg is on the floor. In the taper, set the parameters like these. Great. And we can increase the width to around 40. Animate the path. Here will be the top point. Copy the first frame and simply mirror it horizontally. Again, copy the first frame, and the leg will move back. Here, apply loop out without ping pong. Duplicate and move by 10 frames. Name it leg 5 and leg 6. Move both these legs downwards. Super. We achieved a quite interesting effect. Now we can link them to the body. As you see, there is a tiny displacement. Let's select leg 1, leg 2, and leg 3 and move them. Since null objects are now linked, we should move them too. Please note that, and don't confuse where they are. Also, let's adjust the legs in the background. Excellent. So we have centered the legs. Now we can have a look at the whole composition. Let's link. Move the upper layers downwards so that the cork covers the leaves. And now select the upper controllers that are linked to the top points of the leaves and link them to the body. Let's watch. Everything looks good. The leaves move together with the cork. We can animate the position up and down. Make loop out and apply the easing. Repeat the same with the rotation. Set from -5 to 5. Apply loop out ping pong. And move it along the timeline. In this way, now repeat the same for the other parts. We move the anchor point of the body downwards. Remember that it's better to adjust the rotation of the shape. So select any point. Press V on the keyboard, Command or Control T, and adjust the path like this. Let's link to body 2. Now we can copy its rotation and paste it in body. It looks quite good. But we can compensate the values to ensure that the balance is preserved. I apply time reverse keyframes and make a minimal moving along the timeline. In this way. Now link leaves to body. Now we need to split the leaves into components. To do this, let's open the group. And if stroke is separated, let's group all the leaves. As soon as you do it, split everything in groups. You can apply extract. After you are done with extract, the anchor points should be moved to the bottom of each leaf. After that, we apply the expression called wiggle. But not the ordinary one, but the one that can make a loop. We have already used it during our previous lessons. Let's open it. I have prepared it in the composition. You can access it there. And I paste it in the rotation of the leaf. Now everything's attached to body. That's why it may not be visible how wiggle affects the leaves. Let's increase the value of frequency and amplitude. Let's have a look at the result. As you see, it's too much. So let's set frequency to 2. And I really like this result. Apply copy expression only, and paste it to all leaves. You can notice that now the first leaf behaves differently, not like the rest of them, because we have removed the link to body. Okay, now we can apply merge, so that everything's in one layer. So the script accomplished this task. Now we can unhide all the layers, and as you can see, there is rotation. Great. Now all we need to do is to link all other keys. Also, adjust the rotations if you don't like something. Move on to head. Link head to body. Name the leaves appropriately. Leaves. Link platform to head and link mushrooms to platform. Now you can adjust the head and move it to the right place. Animate the rotation of the platform from -10 to 10. I think that these values would be enough. Press F9 and loop out ping pong. Excellent. Now duplicate the same to mushrooms and move it along the timeline. Let's have a look at the result. I think that we need to move the anchor point downwards and apply time reverse keyframes to mushroom 1. It looks awesome. We are almost done. Now we need to add speed lines that will contribute to the frame-by-frame animation even more. It's my favorite trick. I use it very often, and I want to achieve a cartoon impression. So to do this, just draw such a line which will imitate the speed. Set the key on end from 0 to 100, and also on start from 0 to 100 with a tiny displacement. Select these frames, press F9, and in Motion Tools, set easing to 100, so that we get such a fast line. Duplicate the line and apply time reverse keyframes to ensure back and forth movement, and move it by 2 frames. Duplicate these lines and move them by approximately 4 frames. Here I customize the lines like this. One at the top and one at the bottom. You can notice that we have achieved an interesting result, and now we can duplicate these lines. I see the loop on legs is 20 frames now. Let's select the layers, duplicate them, and move the lines. Now we have achieved an amazing effect. It really looks as if it was a frame-by-frame animation. Now, since the animation lasts for 2 seconds, we need to duplicate it to 2 seconds. Select all of the layers and move them along the timeline so that you get such a ladder. After that, you can apply merge, and all of the layers will move into one. And now let's watch what we achieved. Set the black background. To do this, create a black rectangle. As I see the mask appeared, let's hide it. In the black background, the lines are almost invisible. That's why I duplicate the lines again, move them along the timeline approximately by 3 seconds, and set the color white. Now it looks astonishing. So we can also move the lines so that they don't overlap with each other. That's it. Congratulations on mastering a new technique. Further, we'll move on to the real frame-by-frame animation. This was just a preparation. See you in the next lesson. Bye.